In a busy town, there lived two young men, Ravi and Mohan, both known for their strength, dedication, and skill in laying bricks. They worked at the same construction site and were given the same task: to build a wall 100 feet long, 10 feet high, in 30 days. Ravi showed what hard work looks like. He believed in grinding from early morning to evening. Mohan, on the other hand, was a thinker. Though just as capable, he often found better, quicker ways to get things done. Their approach to work was like night and day. On the first day, the contractor gathered the workers and explained the job. Ravi and Mohan were each assigned one half of the wall. The first to complete the wall with perfection would be rewarded with promotion and a larger bonus. Ravi smiled confidently, already imagining his success. I'll outwork him every single day, he thought. At the very early morning, he was at the site, swinging his trowel and laying bricks like a machine. He barely paused to eat and refused to take breaks. Sweat soaked through his shirt and blisters formed on his hands. But he pressed on. Mohan, meanwhile, arrived an hour later. He spent the first half hour sitting under a tree, sketching on a notepad. The other workers laughed at him. "Look at him wasting time," Ravi smirked. "He'll never beat me at this rate." But Mohan wasn't wasting time. He was planning. He analyzed the structure, measured distances carefully, and thought about how he could finish faster, with less physical strain. The next day, Mohan returned with a small team of young boys from a village. They weren't skilled laborers, but he trained them to mix cement and pass bricks while he focused only on the placement. He also constructed a simple pulley system using ropes and bamboo poles to lift bricks to the top layers, saving time and effort. As days passed, Ravi continued to toil with bleeding hands and aching muscles. He worked 12 to 14 hours a day, laying brick after brick, never stopping, never thinking about alternatives. Mohan, in contrast, supervised his helpers, laid brick steadily, and took strategic breaks. Every night, he revised his approach, improving his efficiency. By the 20th day, Ravi had completed 60 feet of the wall. He was exhausted but proud. He looked over to Mohan's side and was stunned. Mohan had finished 80 feet, and his wall was straighter, cleaner, and perfectly aligned. Ravi's confidence goes down. How is this possible, he thought. I've worked twice as hard. Unable to believe his eyes, Ravi walked over to Mohan and asked, "What's your secret?" "I've worked nonstop and still, you're ahead of me." Mohan replied calmly, "You worked hard, Ravi." "No doubt, but I worked smart. I knew from the start I couldn't match you in raw strength, so I focused on planning. I delegated simple tasks, used tools to reduce effort, and took breaks to stay fresh and alert. It wasn't about how much I worked, but how effectively I worked." Ravi stood silent, his pride bruised. He looked at his rough, uneven wall and compared it to Mohan's smooth, polished one. The difference was undeniable. On the 25th day, Mohan completed his section and handed it over to the contractor. Impressed by the quality and speed, the contractor promoted Mohan to site supervisor. He also gave him the responsibility to train other workers in efficient building methods. Ravi, though disappointed, humbly congratulated Mohan. "You've taught me an important lesson, Mohan," he said. "Hard work is valuable, but without direction, it can be wasted." Mohan smiled. "And smart work doesn't mean laziness. It means thinking ahead, using your mind as much as your muscles." From that day on, Ravi changed. He still worked hard, but now he planned before he acted. He studied construction techniques, adopted tools, and even learned from Mohan. Together, they built not just walls, but an empire of efficiency, lifting the entire crew's performance. Months later, the contractor announced a government contract, the tallest clock tower the town had ever seen. Deadlines were tight. Competition was aggressive. Mohan was asked to lead the project. But this time, Ravi volunteered to manage a section independently. The project began, and Ravi applied everything he had learned. Instead of diving into labor, he built a plan, hired specialized workers, and even used software to track progress. He used cranes instead of ladders and scheduled work during optimal weather windows. Meanwhile, other teams who relied on overwork fell behind. Walls cracked, Materials were wasted, but Ravi's team soared. At the end of 3 months, the tower stood tall, proud and perfect. The town celebrated. The government extended new contracts. And this time, it wasn't Mohan who got the applause. It was Ravi. He turned to Mohan, shook his hand, and said with a wide smile, "I finally understood the balance. Hard work fuels us. Smart work guides us." They both looked up at the clock tower, their proudest creation yet, a monument to the perfect marriage of muscle and mind. Hard work is important, but smart work leads to excellence. While hard work uses sweat and strength, smart work uses strategy and sense. Success belongs to those who combine effort with intelligence.